Welcome back to Daily AI News at Let's Data Science. It's 2026-05-13. Today, we're diving into some pivotal developments from the future of machine intelligence to major product launches. Let's get to it. We begin with a staggering funding report that could reset private market benchmarks across the entire AI sector. According to Bloomberg, Anthropic is in early talks to raise at least $30 billion in fresh financing at a valuation exceeding $900 billion, excluding the new capital. The discussions are reportedly private, with no term sheet signed, and one person familiar with the matter told Bloomberg the round could close as soon as the end of this month. If finalized, a $30 billion raise at a $900 billion valuation would mark one of the largest private financings in technology history. For context, Anthropic is the developer of the Claude model family, including Claude Sonnet. A raise of this magnitude would dramatically expand Anthropic's runway for large-scale model training, long-duration compute commitments, and enterprise deployments. From a technical and infrastructure perspective, rounds of this size typically signal heavier reliance on long-term GPU or TPU procurement agreements and deeper commercial partnerships with major cloud providers and chip vendors. That shifts procurement dynamics across the industry. When a single model developer locks in massive compute capacity, it can tighten supply, influence pricing, and reshape negotiations for other AI startups and enterprise customers. Equally important is the valuation benchmark. A $900 billion private valuation would recalibrate late-stage AI startup expectations and investor comparables. It also raises regulatory and national security considerations, given the concentration of advanced model development in a handful of firms. Observers should watch for disclosed strategic partners, any confirmed infrastructure commitments, and whether filings or term sheets surface in the coming weeks. Next, we turn to a story that underscores just how much private AI valuations are already reshaping public company balance sheets. SoftBank Group Corp reported a sharp jump in earnings driven largely by gains tied to its OpenAI stake. Reuters reports that SoftBank recorded a net profit attributable to owners of the parent of 1.83 trillion yen, or about $11.60 billion, in the January to March quarter. That's up from 517 billion yen a year earlier. CNBC reports that SoftBank's Vision Fund posted a yearly gain of $46 billion, with roughly $20 billion in quarterly gains attributed mainly to increases in the value of its OpenAI investment. According to Investing.com and other outlets, SoftBank's OpenAI stake was valued at approximately $79.6 billion as of the end of March. Financial Times and CNBC reporting also note a double-digit rise in SoftBank shares and attention from S&P Global Ratings, which revised its outlook in light of portfolio concentration. The technical takeaway here isn't about model architecture, it's about financial gravity. When a single AI company like OpenAI can drive tens of billions of dollars in mark-to-market gains, it introduces significant earnings volatility for investors such as SoftBank. For practitioners inside startups, this matters. Funding availability, hiring velocity, and even compute budgets often trail these valuation cycles. Concentrated exposure to AI leaders can amplify both upside and risk across the ecosystem. Our third top story shifts from capital markets to model efficiency. Baidu has officially released ERNIE 5.1, and the company is making bold claims about cost compression. In a May 9, 2026 blog post, Baidu states that ERNIE 5.1 compresses total parameters to roughly one-third and active parameters to about one-half compared to its predecessor, ERNIE 5.0. The headline claim, comparable pre-training performance at about 6% of the pre-training cost of peer models. Coverage from Decrypt frames this as a 94% reduction in training cost relative to rivals. Baidu reports that ERNIE 5.1 scored 1,223 on the Arena Search leaderboard, ranking fourth globally and first among Chinese models. Technically, the model was derived using a once-for-all style elastic training approach, extracting an optimized subnetwork from a larger pre-training run rather than training a standalone model from scratch. Baidu also describes a disaggregated, fully asynchronous reinforcement learning pipeline intended to address training inference divergence and resource utilization. If independently validated, this approach could materially alter cost projections for foundation model development. Extracting performance subnetworks from a broader elastic training family aligns with efficiency strategies such as sparse activation and mixture of experts pruning. For ML engineers and infrastructure teams, a credible 94% reduction in pre-training cost would lower barriers to entry and shift investment toward flexible training pipelines and post-training optimization. However, independent reproduction and real-world inference cost comparisons will be critical. Watch for third-party benchmarks, open evaluation artifacts, and more detailed disclosures on subnetwork selection criteria and reinforcement learning infrastructure. Our fourth major development takes us to South Korea, where Hyundai Motor Group is joining a government-led autonomous vehicle demonstration project across Gwangju Metropolitan City. According to Yonhap and the Korea Times, Hyundai Motor Co. and Kia Corp. signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, the Gwangju city government, and mobility startups, including Autonomous A2Z and Ride Flux. The initiative will deploy around 200 autonomous vehicles based on the Ioniq 5 electric vehicle platform. The project targets Level 4 autonomy within designated zones. Atria AI, autonomous driving software developed by 42Dot, will analyze road driving data collected through the program to support testing and improvement. Reporting also notes involvement from the Korea Transportation Safety Authority and Samsung Fire and Marine Insurance in the broader Team Korea for Autonomous Driving initiative. For practitioners, scaling from dozens to roughly 200 vehicles across an entire metropolitan area stresses telemetry ingestion, synchronized annotation pipelines, fleet orchestration, and incident replay tooling. Citywide pilots of this scale typically surface edge case handling issues that never appear in limited route tests. Observers should track operational design domains, disengagement metrics, and how over-the-air updates are governed across Hyundai, Kia, and software partners like Autonomous A2Z and Ride Flux. Now, for a few other key updates in our lightning round. Amazon Web Services has enabled AI agents to operate Amazon Workspace's virtual desktops in public preview. According to the AWS blog and InfoQ, agents authenticate via AWS Identity and Access Management and connect using a pre-signed URL. Workspaces exposes a managed MCP endpoint compatible with frameworks including LangChain, CrewAI, and Strands agents. Agents interact through screenshots, mouse and keyboard inputs, with activity logged via Amazon CloudWatch and AWS CloudTrail. This creates a path to automate legacy desktop applications without APIs, though outlets like The Register caution about latency and token costs compared to direct integrations. In cybersecurity, Vice President J.D. Vance reportedly urged tech executives to collaborate on AI-driven threats to U.S. critical infrastructure. Crypto Briefing reports Vance cited the China-linked group Volt Typhoon, which has allegedly compromised hundreds of thousands of devices across sectors, including energy and transportation. The administration is pushing for adoption of AI-driven cyber defensive tools, signaling deeper public-private coordination in infrastructure security. Seattle-based Empathic has launched MPACT, a clinician-led benchmark evaluating how models such as Claude Sonnet 4.5, GPT 5.2, and Gemini 2.5 Flash handle high-risk conversations, including suicide risk and eating disorders. According to Business Insider and Axios, the suicide benchmark used 300 multi-turn role plays created by 50 licensed clinicians. Early results suggest strong harm avoidance but uneven clinical helpfulness, reinforcing the need for multi-turn, expert-scored evaluation in safety-critical domains. Finally, KDDI has unveiled its midterm strategy titled Power to Connect 2028, committing 1.2 trillion yen over 3 years to build a nationwide low-latency network and AI computing infrastructure. The plan emphasizes infrastructure fusion and AI-driven automation, with Telecom TV noting parallel automation trials with Ericsson in the radio access network. And that's your AI briefing for today. The landscape is moving faster than ever, and we'll be here to track it with you. For more insights, visit us at letsdatascience.com. Thanks for tuning in, stay curious, and we'll be back tomorrow with the latest in AI.